So here we have the famous MicroStrategy, otherwise renamed actually to Strategy Inc. This is a Bitcoin treasury company. It is ran by Mr. Michael Saylor, who is arguably one of the biggest bulls in Bitcoin. And so we'll break down the chart because it's quite an interesting chart. I think if you look back, you can see previous dot-com bubble, and then just went into this long period. And then when he started his Bitcoin treasury, we see it's just had this meteoric rise from all the way down here, all the way to this peak up here at $540, which coincidentally we will mark with green. And there's not really an all-time, there's an all-time low there that we'll put in just to add that bottom side. So what do we have to look at in terms of levels? Firstly, we'll go all the way back, and is there any historical levels from here? No. Nope, there is not. So I think for the time being, probably we can avoid and just not really care too much about this price action down here, because if it goes back down here, MicroStrategy is probably bust and Bitcoin has probably gone completely into oblivion. So let's work our way down. So what do we have level wise? So if we go here, they're slightly off, so I'll look for those on a lower time frame. If we go down, we have our first monthly level there, which I'll put in, and I'll make this white and just put monthly. What else do we have? We do have a monthly level here, but I think this one we can probably leave in, this $49, but we won't go any lower than that. And so yeah, so that's all we have from a monthly level. So we'll move into weekly. So what can we see? Zooming in on the weekly, are there any levels of interest? I think there's one there that's quite interesting. So I'll put that and I will mark that as weekly. If we go across to here, what do we have? There's a weekly level there. What else? Is there nothing there? There's an interesting level there, but they're slightly off. And then these ones are, yeah, there's not really too much from a level perspective. As we can see, this moves quite frequently. So on the weekly, so it may be a case of finding daily ranges. So if we zoom in on the daily, is there any daily levels here? I think there's a daily level there. And you can see lots of these wicks down here, which probably indicates that this is quite a strong liquidity zone. We will put some indicators on in a second to delve into where that is. Is there any other levels? Nope. 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 No, nothing really here. And nothing really up here. So there's not a huge amount in terms of levels. So what we'll do is we'll go back out onto the weekly and we will get on our favorite FRVP. I'll zoom this out and I will pull this. We'll go from here because this is the impulse. So if we go across here, what can we see? So yeah, lots of volume around this daily level. So I think quite obvious here is quite a strong zone of liquidity, as is this zone here. You can see our high volume point is there, so I'll put a line and we'll make this purple. You can see a little liquidity cluster there, which I will put on a marker. I'll make that green because that's that's our topside liquidity. We can see a little cluster here. and we see a little cluster here, and this is quite a high volume patch here, so I'll put a backtest marker there. And so we can see, yeah, this high volume area. If we take this off and zoom in, what can we see? You can see, quite interestingly, that this fair value gap area here, you can see that's a high liquidity zone. Every time it's come in here, we've had some fast movement. So if we go onto the daily, this might make it a little bit more pronounced. But you can see every time we've come up in here, you've got these big candles. Particularly, actually, I'd say this area here. So what I would do is I would get this. I don't like drawing another box, but I think we'll make this one orange. We could probably move that up slightly. So I think this is really interesting though, because you've got a pretty defined range between here and here, and as you can see, this has been quite pronounced. It's sitting in a little bit of a nowhere zone at the minute, so you'd want to see it come down here. Is how I would read it. So if we drop down onto the 4 hour to really see, it makes sense. This area here is where you'd be looking for a reaction. You can see high volume area here. Sitting in here, the trend overall is slightly down. But you can see it's starting to find a bottom and it's starting to grab some fuel from here. So we may see this go a little bit sideways with some wicks into here to grab some fuel before moving up again. And as we see, we've got another one of these voids above here where price moves quite quickly in. So yeah, interesting one. I think from a trading perspective, this is difficult because obviously this is correlated with the price of Bitcoin. But you can see it's starting to find a nice little break from its downtrend. I think if you wanted to put a trend line on it, I'm not a trend line trader, but you can see you're basically looking for a break above here to break the trend. So probably if I was trading it, you'd look at a reclaim of this daily level as somewhere to get excited. If it comes up and it claims this daily level, you've got quite a lot of upside to come quickly. So quite an interesting one, a difficult one, and it's a slightly different chart than usual. But I think this area here is quite important. So yeah, definitely want to have on the radar if you are trading this.